Hey, sports fans, welcome on in. It's the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. Of course, this guy over here to my left is my co-host today. Should I make an announcement, Herman?
You can.
Herman's actually going to be my permanent co-host. So permanently, it's the Down and Dirty with Scott and Herman. How's that sound?
Works for me.
All right, let's do it. Anyways, welcome to the show. So glad you could join us. This is going to be fun today. I promise you. You need to buckle up. You need to put on the safety gear. You need to put that little beeping button in the reverse if you have to go in reverse, because we're going to get very, very, very down and dirty today. You're going to love this show. Like and subscribe. Do all that fun stuff you do. And we really, really appreciate you tuning in. We love what we do. Love to share it with you. We love to get down and dirty. We're going to do it right now. Okay. When I say, I mean, buckle up, because we're going to do something right now. And I want to say it's the first. It won't be the last time we do this. Maybe it will be the last time we do it, because we're going to get inside Herman's head. So Herman has agreed to allow us access, and we're going to find out what's ticking in his brain. So it's what's in Herman's head. It's kind of the hot headlines of Herman Moore. And he's gonna share that with us to start the show with. Mind you, it may not be about sports. It's just what makes Herman tick. So without further ado, Herman Moore, please tell the folks out there what is going on in your head.
Well, first of all, I'm looking forward to our show. Scott and I, as you all have known, I call him QB1, but I don't think he really expands on the relationship beyond just sports. Scott, we've had a great relationship over time, and then I got to know more about what he was all about. And I told myself, I wish we had spent more time. I know everyone thought we probably spent more time together than we did, and thought that's why you were throwing me all these passes. And that wasn't the case. It was because, life happens. We have our families, we're busy and all those things. But in doing this, it allows us to kind of make up for that lost time. So we hope you will continue to follow us and enjoy the show. I'm looking forward to being a part of it, and we will get started. So I do more than just sports.
Yeah.
A lot of people know me around the state of Michigan. And I like a wide variety of things. I don't want to be defined by the sport itself. And in doing that, I spend a lot of time in content. We're in a space right now where there's so much content creation, and you get all these people. And I was actually watching a show the other day, and a guy went around with these super cards, and he went to these younger generation of kids. He says, who are these superstars, these legendary players, these iconic figures in sports? And these kids were probably 15 years, I'm going to say 9 to 15 years old, and at a sporting event. Baseball, kids knew only Ohtani. That's the only player they knew of all the players. And then they started asking them about, how many of you play football? They said, we play football. Didn't know any of the football players, but they knew all the influencers. They knew all the TikTok, the YouTube, all the card breakers, all these people, and it wasn't about the athletes. So in this part of Herman's head, we're going to get down the down and dirty section, and this is the real talk that hits. And the question I have is, if TikTok was banned, and also if you were to get rid of some of the social media platforms, is there a creator reality check? And what I mean by that, let me tell you what I mean by that. Would they still exist? How many influencers would just disappear?
So
is that a real audience?
Is it a real audience?
Yeah, is it a real audience? So all creators, are they really building real brands?
I think absolutely. I think if they ban all this stuff, I think it's like prohibition. Like you're going to get speakeasies, you're going to get workarounds, you're going to this whole idea of influencer, this whole idea of how we communicate, how we are in our society today, that it's not going away. Like you ban whatever for whatever political reason. I don't see it going away. Now, if there's a nefarious reason to have social media, like if it's a way for the government to spy on you, or other governments spy, if the Chinese are spying on the American, whatever, clearly they're not going to let that go away. They got to keep that around. But if it's a way that people communicate, like it's like when reality TV came along, like in the Kardashians, everyone goes, and by the way, well, all of this is all about money. Okay.
Okay.
So it's not about entertainment. It's not about artistic beauty. It's not about expressing yourself. It's not about being a talented actor or actress. It's I absolutely, it was explained to me the Kardashians are not about entertainment. It's a business proposition 100% of the way. And so, yeah, it's not going to go away. They're just going to find a different way, a different avenue to spew their whatever it is, because like you can have an influencer channel about anything, like I've got a nose fetish or I've got a foot fetish or something, and you'll have millions of followers. It doesn't matter.
But here's what I'm looking at, right? So when I look at it, we've heard everything about national security,
Right.
but is it about national security or is it about influence? It's controlling the influence. Like you just made an interesting point, right? When you talk about the Kardashians, you talk about all these, it's a business piece. And I want to even get to that piece in a minute. It's a business piece, but the government has now gotten involved with it because they understand the power of it.
Right.
So now it's there. There's a lot. It's one entity understanding the power of it, and there's others that are looking at it for just entertainment. And that's why I say I think is it more control in national security, or is it really controlling influence?
Well,
in your opinion.
Well, no, so government, right? Mm-hmm. It's about getting reelected. And as you think about, like, if they can know all of these things about you, like I have thoughts. And they show up on my
That's your SNSA.
It's like, oh my goodness, I didn't say this. I just thought it. And all of a sudden. So if the government or if someone running for office says, I know your thoughts, I know your patterns, I know your behaviors, I know if you're going to vote, how you're going to vote, I'm going to know what makes you decide to vote on the issues. And if they have that information, they're like, we're going to make sure we take that information, we have that information, we're going to protect that information, because people are running for office to get reelected, right? It's not necessarily what's best for the country. So yeah, there's national security, but the national security for politicians is, do I have a job? Do I get reelected? So they want to be able to control. I don't think security is the number one reason. I think information and having powerful information where it's well defined, and you can do that through this social media platform. I mean, let's face it, this is where everyone is. This is where we want to be. We're going to utilize it because because we're going to monetize it.
Here's the thing. So let's go back to this then. So a person says, this is my audience, right? We go in and we talk advertising. People go, how big is your audience? Yeah. And they say, we want to pay you for your influence on your audience. So is it really, do you really own your audience?
Do you
or are you a slave to the algorithm? Well, are you performing for the algorithm or the audience? See, and that's the biggest debate I've had. A lot of people say, hey, what's your audience? No, how well does that influencer understand how to influence the algorithm?
Well, so it reminds me of a good friend I have, and he owns stores at Disney World. Okay. And when he goes, I'm beholden to Disney World. Okay. Like, they could come in tomorrow and they could just go, we don't like your store. You don't have it anymore. See you later. You're done. So and he goes, I have no control over it, but I am on the back of an elephant, and I'm going for a ride. And he's like, I've been going for a ride for about 25 years now. And I know at some point they're going to just go, yeah, we don't like you anymore. Right. And I'm done. But in the meantime, he's like, I can't create on my own the audience that I have 35,000 people that walk by my store every day because I'm at Disney, and I can't recreate that anywhere else in the world. And so does it really matter? Like if you own it or not, as long as that audience is walking around, I think you own it? No, I don't.
Yeah, but here's the problem I have with that.
You're just taking advantage of it.
But here's the problem I have with that. If you don't own the audience and you have someone that can just pull that plug from right up under you, then you really don't have anything. They actually own it, and they're monetizing and allowing you what they want you to have out of that and carve out of it. So if they want to level you up or level you down, then they take that. And it's almost like, again, like with sports, right? We can tie it to any industry. Either you're the owner or you're the worker. You either you're owning or you're borrowing or you're leasing it out or something like that. And it's just, those are the type of worlds. I don't think we don't ever think as deep when it comes to really all the things that are happening around us. And that's what I get out of it.
So can you create your own algorithm, your own space for people, so that you own it? What would the people that control the space, I don't know who they are, is it the Zuckerbergs or whomever, can you become a Zuckerberg? Is it possible, or will they even allow you to do that? And then when you do get it, do you go, I understand the power of this, I'm going to control what everyone, so now I'm the controller?
When you're the inventor and the early adopters of technology or platforms or inventions or innovation, you are always going to be, unless they give up that reign and they get lazy with whoever those initial people were, it's hard to catch them. I don't care who you are. You look at how Facebook has continuously evolved. It's always going to continue to level up. You look at all the other platforms, they're going to level up. Amazon, they're going to level up. It's going to be hard to come in and all of a sudden become that next thing within their space, because they already understand it and they've built the rules. So when you've built the rules and you've built the platform, you own all the innovation that happens beneath it, because everyone's going to have to piggyback off of your platform and your innovation and your concept, because now it's human habit that's been changed. So it leads me into that, right? So we look at AI versus humans, right? Who actually wins? Who wins?
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are really scared of AI, because I think they're so afraid of the power of it. It's almost like people have convinced themselves that AI, they are human, that they can do absolutely everything a human can do. And so people are like, well, what is it? What are we in for? I mean, do they take over everything? Do they? And I'm of the belief that, man, I think it's so powerful what AI can do. And I don't fully understand it, but I understand enough of it to go, wow, this is a pretty special technology, but they're still human beings. I mean, someone said, hey, you can always just unplug AI. Like, it doesn't have to absolutely control. I think, I don't know. There's going to be movies that come out where AI
I think it's going to be hard. I think it's
and
going to be hard to unplug it. I think that when I look at it, it becomes, can you be replaced? And if so, why? The people that fear it, I think, are the people who aren't willing to grow, because the world doesn't wait for you, because you have limitations. And that's what we're seeing. Like, I think about it, and I apply this, and I go to business, and that's the part where I go in here and I don't lean so heavy into sports, but I look at how sports work within the realm of everything else that's evolving, because sports evolves based on human habit. It evolves based on what's happening in the real world, and then they integrate that within the sport. The sport isn't defining the world. The world is defining how the sport will be shaped in interaction, right? So when we look at it, it's like, I see it as, it replaces people who don't have discipline. Because if you have discipline, you're always looking for the next thing that's going to allow you, the individual, to be better. And if it's a tool, if it's an AI tool, you're going to learn it. You're going to understand the good, the bad, and everything in between, and then take that and apply it to help you better at your skill. And that's where I think people are missing it. We talked about the other day in sports, for instance, how will it impact play calling? The analytics, the algorithms of coaches coming in and going, this is why I'm making certain decisions. If the coach is disciplined, they can use AI. If the coach isn't disciplined and they lack the skill set and they're trying to use that as a way to offset where they have deficiencies, that's where they get exposed.
Well, because we did have a conversation about it. And as you're talking about this right now, I'm thinking about, okay, how does it make things better, and what is the impact? And so specifically related to football, the technological advances that aren't necessarily AI, but it's along that phrase. There's an advance in technology that further enhances the game, right? AI is that technology. and you think about like during a game back when we played, you would get these still shots, right, of the very first 2 seconds of
like a fax.
Yeah, and so you're scouring and you're flipping back and forth, and you're trying to.
And it's pixelated too.
Yeah, and you're trying to disseminate. Okay, did they shift? Did they rotate the coverage? Where did these guys move? Kind of thing, and now it's like they have a tablet on the sideline, and basically you're watching the game happen. And not only they have a tablet, but that's how they give you your game plan. They embed all of the film, so you're sitting at home, you're everywhere, and you're looking at this the game plan. And I can only imagine what AI does to integrating and sharing and putting the game plan in for players, and what it does ultimately. And I think your point is right, is it actually, you're going to get a better product on the field. You're going to get players that are better prepared. You're going to get players that the advancement of the game, the skill of the game, you're not going to get as many bonehead calls that maybe you got, or you're going to get rid of a lot of that waste and inefficiency that happens, and it only is going to make the game better, which ultimately that's what the fan wants. You want the very best game.
Make sure I'm understanding you though. You're saying you think it's going to make the game better.
I do, actually. As I've thought about this, I really, if it's done right and people really use it in the right way, absolutely you can teach better, you can teach more efficient, you can implement, you can make decisions during a game that are so much, instead of going, well, what the heck am I going to call right now? It goes, this is the best call to make at this situation. Right. Call this play right now.
I want to challenge you then. I'm going to challenge you on something.
That was my computer.
I know. It sounded like you were, what was that? That would probably be dot something. That was DOS. I think it was called DOS or something like that back in the day. Yeah. But see, here's a problem I have with that. Okay, you're going to make the game better. You're going to look at cheaper, faster, more efficient access to information.
Yeah.
But you're weakening the ability to think as the person. That's what I think happens. Yeah. The ability, if I don't have access to that pad, like I can't look at what has happened out here in this space. I can't see. I got to wait till I get to the sideline to self-correct and make adjustments, or am I going to be making my adjustments right now, real time? This is an instinctive, real-time thing that it doesn't allow you to go back. You've already made the mistake. Once you go back, whatever's done is in the past. Like you're going back to look at history, and then you're looking at ways to prepare yourself for what you may do in the future, but it doesn't help you in that moment. It can't solve your problem. And the concern I have is, it under pressure, does it weaken coaches? Because now they're saying whatever happens. We're going to basically, like a video game, we're going to call the play and let it run, and whatever happens, versus saying, listen, here's what I see that's evolving. Because it's called machine learning. So you still got to feed that information. You still got to take that data and then you got to make sense of it and then spit it out into a plan. Versus right now, when we look and I see a person moving or safety shifting and you're making your calls, you've been trained to be able to make those decisions. Yes, the information you're being provided comes quicker, faster, in a better platform. You got you got the iPads, you got all that stuff, but it's not going to help you, in my opinion, the human, be able to be instinctively better, faster. You just have access to more information, but can you process it?
Yeah. So I actually think that it will help you to be able to process information better, because you're seeing plays or suggestions or a thought process that maybe by yourself you weren't capable of. Look, the NFL is lazy to begin with. Okay. And it's lazy from this perspective. There aren't a lot of innovators in the NFL. But basically what they are is they're regurgitators, right? They take old stuff and they repurpose it. And, they talk about bubble screens and that's what do you know the first play I ever called
terminology
in the NFL was a bubble screen. Mm-hmm. Okay. And this was in 1993. Mm-hmm. No, 1992, actually. And so it was and you know where we got it? We stole the play. like Don Shula sat in, everyone steals everyone else's stuff. There's nothing new. There's nothing. There's only so many things you can do. But my point about AI is it's going to give you an idea. Hey, consider this, and you go, oh, I didn't think of it that way. And so it gives you a chance to think of new, more innovative ideas that you wouldn't have had. But I do agree with you in the sense that the human instinct, the human, like, um your gut feeling, that's always the best thing. Go with your gut. And this is what I hated about the NFL in our time, and it's way past that now. And that is, when I first got in the NFL, I was not supposed to, I was ordered, I was taught to call my own plays. And so when you have to call your own plays, you're sitting there, you're going, oh man, what do I do here? And you have to think about it. And so that causes you to not be lazy and go, why am I doing this? What is the defense doing that makes me want to do this? Or what play do I like that I believe in? Right. And now it's like it is like that. It's like, here, it's a video game. We call the play and you just execute the play, and whatever happens with the play happens. Don't change it. Don't adjust. Just do what we say. And that doesn't allow you to develop that instinct, that intuition that you would learn otherwise. Now maybe AI can teach you intuition. Maybe it has the ability to do that, or at least at some point it will. I don't know.
I just wonder if it will start to replace people, because you even think about all the data and all the people that are putting all that stuff together. It becomes a lot easier to be done when you start looking at using technology. You start getting these efficiency, and you start to get rid of these different people. All right, so we'll move on to the next one. We're going to the next one. Right now, we're living in a world where there's the cost of living versus mindset. So there is that an excuse or reality? So we're talking now, are the prices being overly inflated?
Does your head hurt?
It does, but listen,
because you got a lot of interesting things. Like, this is all the stuff that goes on.
This is all the stuff that goes on, and I bring this up, and I give myself some notes just so I can look at it, because when life gets harder and prices go up, there's ways we can look at it. Yes, it's being done, and we're not going to bring politics into it, regardless of that. Let's just talk about the cost of living. Let's talk about the way in which we live. Do you elevate to meet and match what is happening, or do you face the reality, like, this is the world we live in, and not make it an excuse, and you do something about it, which means you go figure out a way to offset even the problems that maybe have caused by someone else? Or do you just say, I'm just going to let myself fail in it and not do anything about it? So think about it. And the reason why I tell you this, and there's a reason why I'm going to preface it, here's why I say this. So in sports, here's the difference in people. We're taught you don't have all the tools. You don't have the right team. You don't have a receiver. You don't have a quarterback. You don't have a running back. The other team does.
Yeah.
These other ones are able to afford it. They got more money on their cap. Well, this team over here in the league has done something that's going to make it harder for something like that. But somehow people figure it out, and they figure out ways to work around it. The people who don't make excuses about it, you don't have to like it, but the ones who don't make excuses about it figure it out. The ones who make excuses about it crash and burn in it.
Yeah.
And that's what I've seen. So is that really a reality right now? And I bring this up because, and there's no right or wrong to this.
Sure.
And I know people are going to be on both sides of it, but it's, where are you as a person, and in the audience, I want them to think, where do you lie? Are you upset and mad and say, it's going to destroy everything about me? Or are you the one that says, I hate this, I don't agree with this, I wish this would go away, but now I got to jump into.
So I know where I am on this, because I've always been a person that says, I'll figure it out, I'll make it work, I'll just like coming to Detroit to play football. Team hadn't been to the Super Bowl and all this stuff, and then everyone goes, why would you want to go to Detroit? And it's like, oh, I want to go to Detroit because I think I'm part of the solution. I believe we can win Super Bowls here and do all this. And so you kind of go in with a mindset of, okay, how do we do this and how do we fix it? When you're bringing this up, I thought of one of my former offensive line teammates with the Miami Dolphins, who was not in economically, he was in a good position, but he was like obsessed with coupons.
And he's a coupon clipper.
Oh my goodness. Like, he'd made an art out. We had this long conversation about it. And he goes, dude, man, I basically get stuff for free. Like it's amazing how much money I save. Now it's a lot of effort. It's cutting and clipping and watching, and then you got to go through all of it when you go to the store. But he goes, dude, I have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars a year with all of the different things that I use. And he goes, I use it for everything. And he goes, I am as tight as they come. He goes, I don't care. But and so I think there's people that just go, I can get creative, you know, in how I live and what I do, and I can look at a situation and I go, I don't care, you know, I'll figure it out. And then I know other people, man, it's just like a dark cloud, you know. They got, you know, they're just gloom and doom, and this is horrible, and it's someone else's fault, and it's all of this, and those greedy people, and all these things. And I look at the two people, and it's always the one that complains. They're miserable, they're not happy. I think it impacts their health, their well-being, and I've always been a person that looks at the glass half full, and it's um, bode me well in my life. I just think I'm happier.
You think the same thing happens though in football, or not football, I say specifically sports, job, everything in life? It seems like those that don't allow it to become the excuse, and they start to say this is going to become part of the fabric of who I am. Because when things happen, and again, I don't look at what's fair and what's not fair. The world's not fair. People who are waiting for the world to be fair and waiting for things to be equal and equitable and all these things, you're going to lose, because it's just not built that way, and it's not controlled by the people who want it that way. So I was just curious about that. And so, you know, I always like doing this. We'll come back. We'll do a few more of these. I want us to get on with more things, but it's just coming out and letting you know these are the things that are pressing with me every day. And it's not that it's bad things. It's consciousness,
right?
And it's making sure that I stay healthy in my mindset. And I'm always willing to debate and come in with you. And yesterday, Scott and I, we've had an opportunity to sit and spend some time. We won't get into what our offline debates are, but they are. They're not even intense. They're probably the most polite, courteous,
healthy,
respectful debates but they have intensity, and they're serious matters. And that's what's going to make this pretty exciting. But I want to go in and throw a few of those things into the show. And
well, I want to know what I'm getting into. So, you know, you take a look under the hood, you see what's in Herman's head. Clearly we can see there's a lot going on, and it's deep. And it's impactful, and it's good. So love the conversation. We'll certainly do more of it down the road. By the way, the conversation, there's certain things, you know, you never talk religion, politics, all of those things. That's exactly what we talk about. Not on the show, but in real life. All right, we're going to take a break. We come back. The Washington Commanders, you know who they are. They used to be the Washington Redskins. You can't say, well, anyways, they're the Commanders. And they have decided to change their uniform. Oh man, what does that mean? What's the impact of a jersey change, a uniform change on a team? We'll get into the depth of that when the Down and Dirty returns in just a minute.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Hey, welcome back to the show. It's a Down and Dirty. Scott and Herman here. We had a fascinating conversation about what's in Herman's head. There's a lot in there actually, and some of it is quite interesting. So, and yet,
No hair.
no, you look good. We've had this discussion. Herman looks good. So not only does he look good, he's got something in between his ears. All right, and he's drinking Kona coffee. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but I went all the way to Hawaii and brought back Herman, who is a significant connoisseur of coffee. He loves coffee from around the world, and I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'm a good friend, so I bring back Kona coffee for Herman to drink.
I brew it up,
and he brews it and he drinks it, and it's good. That's all I cared about. I was really
Fresh
nervous that I actually would bring back the right kind of coffee. Okay, the Washington Commanders, the beloved team from our nation's capital, they have decided to change their uniform. And Herman, by the way, is also a fashion expert. He's very much into the look of things. So there's a lot to dive into. But let's start with what's just your broad stroke. Do you like the look? Is it really all that different? What pops off the page about the Commander's new uniform style?
Just give background, because you always like to set the stage, let people know. Like, so my background is marketing, branding, creative. So all those different platforms, whether it's Canva, whether it's Adobe Creative Suite, and all these other products, like all those things, I work with those things. I have teams of people that will do a lot of design work. So we spend a lot of time on intellectual property, brand, branding for teams. We look at what is your actual baseline in terms of, what you're trying to accomplish and evoke with the brand. And what I saw with this was a team that's saying, listen, we need a brand new identity. The minute I saw it, and as I look at their uniforms, it isn't a far stretch, because you don't want to move too far away from the actual branding, what people recognize and remember, because otherwise that's a whole new thing you got to do. You don't start changing the colors, you get innovative. When they changed over and became with the W for the Commanders, they just had the W. I think they felt that was too plain. And I know they got the arrow that's coming through on one side now. The only problem I have with that, it seems like you're putting together two pieces of artwork and creating one logo, versus somehow figuring out how do you get one unified logo and somehow incorporate that arrow within the W or somewhere within it, so it gives that depiction. So when you start to lay that out across multiple products, I don't know necessarily it's going to work as well as they think it will, because they've added simply that smaller piece. Believe it or not, that little piece could actually mess up the entire piece that happens there. So other than that, I think it causes the players to have a feeling of newness, change. It is a psychological piece that happens with players, teams, organizations, fan bases, your sponsors, your supporters. And it gives them kind of a definitive line each time you do that, to say, this is a team here going forward, versus this is the same team. So I think there's some subliminal pieces, there's some psychological pieces, there's obviously some business pieces that are here, but at the same time, I think it's gonna serve them well for what it needs to be used for.
So I want to get into kind of some of those psychological things, because there's you played for the Giants as well, right? Or
that was the only time in sports ever I've gotten a participation award. I did not do anything with the Giants.
But you were with the Giants.
I was with them. They gave me a helmet.
Yeah.
They gave me a practice jersey.
Yeah.
They let me go in the game and allowed them to throw like 3 or 4 passes to me that weren't completed, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah. So, but so there's like one thing when a team goes, okay, we're going to change our jerseys, right? We're going to go through this branding, refinement process, which I think you explained very well. And actually, when you talk about, you can go a bridge too far with this. I think of the Cincinnati Bengals, where they went with a radical change. They had these very plain helmets, and then they put the kind of the tiger print across the whole entire helmet. And I wore I played for the Bengals for a couple of years and wore the helmet, and I wanted, because that was radical, right? Mm-hmm. It was very radical. Now, this is an organization that actually has been to multiple Super Bowls now, 3 of them, and the Lions haven't been to any. Mm-hmm. So if the Lions really want to like get to a Super Bowl. They got to get radical, man. They got to change things. They didn't change the jersey for a long time for the Lions, but what I want to get to first though is what is the impact for you? Like your whole career, you're with the Lions. You have it's a certain jersey. You know, they kind of changed. I don't know if you remember when they changed the pants.
Yeah.
You know, they enhanced the uniform. Blue. They went to blue and all this stuff. Like for me, I'm such a creature of habit. I don't like the change, and it was really weird for me because I loved the Miami Dolphin uniform and the color and the whole thing. And it's one of those things you either love it or hate. You know, it's a unique color. You know, it's not your your basic red, white, or blue color or whatever. But I loved it. And when I came to Detroit, I was like, I always felt like our uniforms looked dirty. They looked dingy. They looked old. It's like, man, are these even? When did they did we get these in the 1960s? Like when did we get these uniforms? Because it's like, man,
you saw the Silverdome, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, the whole thing. So
yeah, there you go.
Did it affect you? Because it affected me. Like it's weird. It's weird to go to a new uniform, a different uniform, even when the team doesn't change it and you change teams, because you talk about the psychological part of it. And it's a real thing. And it was a real thing for me. Like I hate it. Man, we were looking at some old pictures. Even our practice stuff was like dingy and just, come on, get some
it looked like it was
high.
It looked like it was high school stuff, and the thing is, it's not a jab or anything like that, but it wasn't the fashion era. Yeah. Let's just call it that, because we're in the 90s, and if you go back and look at some of those pictures, I actually pull out some of the trading cards, and we're going to do that also on the show. We're going to pull out some trading cards and look at some stuff. We'll bring it up later, but when you look at the uniforms, I used to enjoy our throwback uniform because it was a darker blue, and it was just all silver pants. It was just the blue socks, and a lot of people were kind of mixed about it at first. But then, man, the minute we go into those throwback uniforms, remember we ended up going all the rest of the season wearing that because it was such a great thing. And I agree. I think minimal things were done with the Lions uniform, where they added like a stripe, or they may have changed out a little something here or there, but they stayed pretty much tried and true to the branding of what it was. Even looking at the lion, we tease about the mascot and that stuff that they had, and then you look at the lion on the helmet, it wasn't quite a really shaped lion. If you really go back and peel it back and look at it, it's like it has a little bit more left to
look like the lion from the Wizard of Oz.
It looks well, and even on the helmet, the icon of the lion, it has nostalgia, but it doesn't have definition, right? It could have been updated, and now if you look at the Lions, they're going with it and they're running with it for a little bit longer. But, they changed out the uniforms. I think when Nike came out with the color rush, we started seeing like the all yellow or the all orange and all this, they were just on the precipice and the cusp of, what do we do with these uniforms? And it became entertaining. They started to sell more things. So the uniforms now become, it trickled down. You look at the effect of it from a business standpoint. Now, high schools, they got like 3-4 uniforms. So it was a way to increase the industry innovation, right? And there's a way to say, here's a psychological piece in hey, if we set the standard over here and we do it with the high level teams, because you look at the teams that started with those uniforms, right? They're always starting with the ones that have the audience, and they have the visibility, and then it makes change.
So you have, speaking of changes, right? In Nike, the big thing is changing out the helmets, right? The team has 6 different helmets. Like at the University of Utah, they have
it's like picking shoes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it really is. I'm accessorizing for the football game. What shoes look the best here? I hate that. I don't want to change my helmet. I don't want to change the color of my helmet.
What if it's the same helmet though?
No, but it's
technically it's the same helmet.
Well,
it's just not broken in the same. Like unless I know the foam padding and some of that memory foam or whatever they have. It's a little. Now I will say this: it's a little different now than probably what it was when we played.
See, I asked the equipment manager at the University of Utah. And he goes, "Oh, we changed. The interior of the helmet just goes with the new helmet. So we actually how you've broken in your helmet with the foam and everything, because that was always the biggest challenge for me, was breaking in a helmet every year, and it's just like, man, my head hurts, and it just took like 2 or 3 days or a week or so, and then you finally get it broken in, and then it's nice, And I wouldn't want to do that every week. It's like, man, I got to change the helmet. Now I got to worry about this. It's just one more thing to worry about in the game. But when I found out they actually changed out the interior, so your interior just follows you, just goes to the new helmet. It's just different. Then I'm like, all right, that's cool. I can get along with that. All right, here's another thing when you talk about the psychological part of it, because this is another one. Are the Washington Commanders saying, hey, look, we don't think we're going to be any good because we haven't been good forever. So we're gonna divert you, right? You talk about a new era and kind of a new battle cry, a new thing for the fans to get all excited about, but it's still the same old team. And have they really changed, or does it, or just something like that? Because when the Bengals, I mentioned when they changed that's when they went to the Super Bowl, when they changed out their helmet structure, and all of a sudden this is like one of the worst organizations in the NFL, and all of a sudden they're now going to Super Bowls, and you wonder if that psychologically kind of impacted or changed the whole mindset of the organization, or is it a diversion tactic where we go, we really stink, we want you to get excited, we want you to buy the new merch, we want you to do all this stuff, but and hopefully we can put you at bay for the next 5 to 7 years, and then you'll realize, yeah, but it's just the same old team, and now we got all this new gear. I think of Jerry Jones, where Jerry Jones is an admitted drama seeker. He's almost like addicted to drama. And so if you can create drama, which creates a distraction, then people aren't criticizing you because your team stinks.
I think it's a mixture of both. I think if you look at it, what is marketing used for? Is used to provide a message. It's used to drive people to a certain action and evoke a certain emotion. And I think what it does a few things. Again, it changes the emotional impact of the players. Think about the age of these players, right? They're in their 20s, most of them. And then we've talked about how they're leaving the game early before they get into their late 30s or mid 30s. They're leaving late 20s, very early 30s. And in there, they are into the fashion side of it. So that gives them that extra piece to make them feel good. So I think there's something there in look good, do good, feel good. And all those things, you look at how often we see players always adjusting and making sure their uniform looks good, because they feel that if they look good and they look the part, they will play the part. We know that's not necessarily true. You still got to have the athleticism, the ability, the intelligence, and all those other things. I think there's a place for it. I think it can also become a distraction, because now it becomes more about that, because we've seen how I can give up 10 plays. I can have 5 drop passes. I can give up 2 interceptions, but I make 1 interception, and it could be an irrelevant interception. I got to run and go find the camera and do a pose. I got to strike a pose. I got to do all these other things. But I'm looking at the total body of work, right? That's where the celebratory stuff should happen. And even in the uniforms, it's like, if you're going to have that uniform, it's got to match the team. And if you do that, you should expect the elevation from the players to say, okay, now if this is the newness of what we're doing, let's now show that and put it on the field. I just don't think it carries far enough, because it becomes more, it's just another uniform. I expected, when we're going to get a new one. Now it's like every year I want something new. It almost becomes that thing that you do with the kids. Like, you got to constantly, if you give them that gift that they haven't earned, they expect it even if they haven't earned it. And you have to constantly keep catering to that. And I think at some point, I almost go, you don't even get a new uniform unless you're winning. Then that way you can tell, like, I'm going to keep you in the same everything, and we don't get any upgrades until you win. Like, I believe there has to be consequences, and there needs to be conditional terms. People go, oh, unconditional. I don't believe in the unconditional things in life. I don't believe in, like, you give people blanket no matter what because of an affiliation or association. I think there's some things that just have to be earned.
We had this conversation about the PGA Tour. Like, you don't get paid until you play, and if you win, you make the weekend, you're going to get paid. And I would love to see that in the NFL, because I think it eliminates, like, the jealousy of some player getting paid all this. It's like, man, how'd you get paid all that money and I didn't get paid? And so it's like, okay, we're all on equal footing here, and whoever performs, whoever produces, they're going to get paid. And I think you get better work, you get better quality. Anyways, we had that discussion. Okay, there's one more question I want to ask you about this jersey thing. And you talk about the introduction of things and how you can go too far or not too far. It feels like a lot of the jerseys across the board, one of the implementations, which isn't part of maybe the traditional scheme, is there's been an introduction of black into the color scheme with a lot of plays. What is it about black that draws so much attention and is a very popular thing? And is it still popular, or is it one of those things that's kind of on its way out?
Yeah, so people understand, and those that are creative and they're in that space understand that every color has a psychological impact on players, fans, sponsors, people, period. So there's a psychological piece that happens with color. And even if it's not in there, you look at most teams, they get that darker version of whatever their primary colors are, or they implement black in there and then they throw the accents. And that's to provide, like, the first thing you hear when someone goes, they're in that darker jersey or a black jersey, oh, that's me.
Right.
Like, it's this toughness, this
dark mode.
It's dark mode, right? It's like fear.
Yeah.
Like, you need to fear us.
Like,
and so you're trying to invoke this psychological dominance on your opponent because you're in there. So think about it. When you see teams that are wearing all white, you just go, oh, it seems like fluffy, happy. It's like,
well, it's Happy Valley, Penn State whiteout.
You see someone, I can't remember, I think it was the Chargers or whoever it was that wore that all yellow.
Yeah.
It was like the worst. Like some of them, and I saw one team that was in like all orange. And it's like, that's doing a little too much. But then I saw the Lions, they were playing the Texans. And I don't know what it was. The Texans came out. They had the shiny red helmets. They had all red on and all that. Black shoes, black gloves, black face mask. And I don't know, it was something about like, we coming out here to do like do you some harm. Like, it was the red. Red is like, we already associate red with like not violence, but like, it's something crazy with it, right? And when they came out, they invoked that. They played that way. And I think there is something there psychologically that you get from having those darker color jerseys. That's what I get out of it.
I think of, I'm the color analyst for Utah football, and there's always the dark mode game, and it's usually strategically like a game you have to have, and so everyone rallies around, everyone, the whole stands are the same way. A whiteout at Penn State kind of thing. Like, people say that the whiteout at Penn State is like no other experience. And it's like the team's all in white, the stands are all in white, and it's just, it's a different mode. So there is something to a jersey, and I believe it. I feel I know you do as well. So
absolutely.
So who knows? Maybe the Commanders should go into the Super Bowl this year. We'll find out. Okay, we can take another break. We come back. Guess what? We got a game for you. That's right. We play games on this show, and you can follow at home. Of course, the winner gets a gold star. Actually, we may have some fun prizes in the future for people when they play games with us. So you want to stick around and stick around forever, right? Quite frankly. In fact, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your favorite aunt. Is it aunt or aunt? Anyways, tell whoever it is to come watch the show. They'll be entertained. They'll have a good time. So the Down Dirty returns. We're playing a game when that happens.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us on our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone, and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Welcome to Kit Bag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kit Bag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kit Bag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's kitbag.com. Kit Bag.
Farmhound's approach is a little different than a traditional treat company. We get to work with local farmers who are putting everything they can into regenerative farming. From the soil to the animals to the ecosystem. They care about how animals are raised and how we treat the earth. It's not just product, but it's part of that story. It's connected to just a whole lot more.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty, Scott Mitchell, Herman Moore. Herman's drinking something. I'm not. I need to get a drink. I don't know what it. Look, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'm going to get something to drink on the show because I just want to look cool like Herman here. Martin, of course, is joining us now because you know what that means. It's time to play a game. We play games on this show. You can join along at home. You can even win at home. And if you do, we will give you a gold star, which you can put on your forehead. So that's the deal. Martin, please explain the game, and you're the game show host for the Down and Dirty game that we're playing today. So please explain the game, and let's go have some fun and play a game.
This is a lot of fun. I'm enjoying this. I'm glad Herman's joining us on this one now that he can see how crazy Scott Mitchell goes over these games. This is going to be enjoyable. So have to delete one from history, gentlemen. You got to pick one player. You got to say, you know what? We can live without his impact on the NFL, okay? I'm going to give you 4 quarterbacks to start this off, all right? We're going to go from quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, O-line, D-line, DB, linebackers, kickers, and punters. Let's start with the quarterbacks, guys. Brett Favre, Warren Moon, Ben Roethlisberger, or Steve Young. Which quarterback are you deleting from NFL history?
So it's their impact is the least impactful on the overall game of the NFL. Which one of these 4? Now it's interesting because they're kind of like iconic, but maybe are they the absolute best of all time? You know, probably not. But certainly they're all. Well, Warren Moon didn't win a Super Bowl, but they're all Hall of Famers. Ben Roethlisberger, is he? I think is he eligible? He hasn't been.
But hold on,
is he a Hall of Famer yet?
I don't think he's in. He's going to be eligible soon. But I'm that kid that's in the class that wants to ask the teacher a question before we get going. Can I ask a quick question? I know. Listen, when we talk about we're deleting one.
Yeah.
When we talk about, I just like to have the stage set. Meaning, what is the criteria? I got to know the rules of the game, man. Like deleting one, just deleting them. There may be, is it all tangible? Is it all sports related? Is it intangible?
Well, it can be whatever you want.
Okay.
It's your subjective view on who you think has, if they were gone, it would least impact their contribution to professional football.
Okay. Good enough.
It's supposed to be kind of hard, but it's also supposed to be.
How do I remove my bias?
Well, you don't. I'm
gonna leave I can leave my bias.
Yeah.
My bias in. I can already give you mine right now.
I'm waiting.
All right, Favre.
and tell me why.
Because I have Steve Young is because I'm biased because he's a left-handed quarterback, and I've played with a lefty, and I wouldn't go back to a right-handed quarterback. If I had to chase and go team to team, I would take a pay cut to go play with a left-handed quarterback. They'd have to have skill, but I still play. Right. Ben Roethlisberger, everyone knows that I am a black and gold, right? Like I'm a Steeler fan, and also I like Ben, so he's a good guy. And Warren Moon, because historically I like the diversity. I like the fact that he was one, just like with Doug Williams. You have an African American quarterback and a minority that set his mark and became a Hall of Famer and crossed over a little bit. But there's different ways in which they've impacted the game, not just on the field, but inspiration and other things. So there's my biases that are there. And Brett Favre, obviously, I'm not going to look at the personal side, which people look at.
Right.
I throw that out the window. I'm
Yeah.
going just strictly from who I will remove here. I think, gunslinger, a guy that threw a ton of interceptions, but made some tough plays and had his yardage and all those things. But I think of the group there, they have a different type of legacy.
Yeah. It's interesting you pick Favre. We used to watch, so of course Green Bay was in our division, and we're watching film every week. So we get a lot of Packers film just because of so many carryover in the games you play. And I just remember the quarterback sitting there and just go, how many years is this guy going to get away with this? When you talk about gunslinger and you watch the film, you just go, man, he throw 24, 25, 26 interceptions a year for years, And I think of my time in Detroit, and it's like I'm throwing 7, 11, 13 maybe in a bad year, and I'm being crucified, I'm getting booed before, and I'm just like that. How do I get that job that guy has? Because no matter what he does, he's loved, and all this stuff.
He's a Teflon Favre, man.
Boy, it is something else. This is a tough list. I'm probably going to go with Roethlisberger, simply because in spite of Brett Favre and all that, he certainly was a lot. Steve Young, these guys are multiple MVP players, winning Super Bowls. I really agree with the Warren Moon side of this. He was a trendsetter. He had a tough road to get to the NFL. We had to go through the CFL and won, and just very prolific. But I think of the three, Roethlisberger is my pick. And I'm not, and I don't have the bias as far as the Steelers and what have you. And I really liked Ben in his career, but I think of the four he's probably the least impactful to me. All right, keep moving.
All right, let's go to running backs, guys. Let's do, on this list, we're going to have Marshall Faulk, Jamal Lewis, Jerome Bettis, and Earl Campbell. Which one are you removing from NFL history?
All right, I'll go first because I'll let Herman think about his bias, because anyone who's on the Steelers is going to be on the. I'm actually going to go Jamal Lewis with the Bengals. Now, they won a Super Bowl when he went there. He was a pretty great player. Earl Campbell, I actually have a bias there. I was a Love You Blue. The first NFL game I went to was 1978. Earl Campbell was there. I actually got to go to their walkthrough practice, and I have a signed football from Earl Campbell back then. So I'm huge, and quite frankly, I grew up hating the Steelers. So because they kept beating the Oilers to go to the Super Bowl. So he's in. Earl Campbell, running over the Miami Dolphin player on Monday Night Football. I'll never forget that. I think Marshall Faulk. Now here, I'm not going to get controversial. I was going to go there. Like these are my types of running backs. These are the running backs that are going to give you those tough 4 and 5 yards. They're not afraid to go inside the tackles. I think one of the greatest running backs of all time is Marshall Faulk. I really do. Just his ability to do everything that he did. It's like Marshall Faulk is one of those guys that I'd start a football team with, because he's such a diversified talent. But Jamal Lewis, that's actually quite easy for me.
So I'm gonna piggyback off of that. So Jamal, I was gonna remove him too. I just think of the group, and you look at, and not just get beyond just the name and impact. These are guys that, in their own right, have had impact. Earl Campbell, I grew up watching, and just remembering that when you start, anytime you want to talk about tough runners, you want to talk about the guys that would get those extra yards, that would take on linebackers, that would need a before you had, the Derrick Henrys and Marshawn Lynch and those guys that we really talk about, like these are beasts and these are, this is a guy that would just run over people. Jerome Bettis, first time you look at a guy that looked like a fullback, but then ran like a running back and had the agility and the ability to not only break tackles, but then also have burst. And just, you look at those winning seasons that the Pittsburgh Steelers had, he was really a catalyst for giving them that stability as an offensive unit. So he's going to stay there. And then Marshall Faulk was game defining. I think he picked up the mantle where Roger Craig left off. Roger Craig was that guy that, he was a pass catcher, he was a running back, and he really didn't dominate one or the other. But when you combine that, he became just such a great player and recently inducted through the senior committee to the Hall of Fame, because he showed that you can get more out of a running back other than just running the football. So I think he was that trendsetter. So I would keep those in there for that reason. And Marshall Faulk, like I said, he's a tremendous guy, tremendous player, and obviously a Hall of Famer that deserved it.
All right, wide receiver.
All right, let's go to wide receiver, guys. Let's do Isaac Bruce, Des Bryant, Reggie Wayne, or Donald Driver.
You're the wide receiver in the room.
I mean, like who would I remove from this? I mean, again, I don't want to seem like just because I'm a Lion, I'm removing all these Packers, but I'm gonna remove Donald Driver from this list, and I'll go down it. So Reggie Wayne was in a guy in waiting with Marvin Harrison, who was out in Indy, played in the offense. And I remember when I had an opportunity to go out, and when I left the Lions, I called Tom Moore, who was a coordinator, and he says, "Listen, I believe in this young guy. Don't want to bring you in because I think you, although it'd be great to have you, Reggie Wayne, and Marvin Harrison together, I don't want to disrupt his development." And I respected that. He was very honest about it. And Reggie Wayne's turned out to be a person I think is going to be a future Hall of Famer. He has the credentials. Des Bryant, I think, had that ability, got cut short. Probably, I'm looking more towards what could have been more so than what was. Donald Driver obviously is no shade on him. I mean, tremendous player, dependable, very understated, but he's an icon over in Packerland. And Isaac Bruce is just a beast. Like I had an opportunity to meet him when he was younger, when he came to the league. Route runner, he was like a take on Marvin Harrison, and was a competitor and played out there with that greatest show on turf, other than the Detroit Lions. Greatest show on turf. So Isaac Bruce, just of that group there, he's definitely cream of the crop there.
I had the same conversation with Tom Moore about going to Indy. He says, "Yeah, I got this young quarterback, Peyton Manning. I don't want to throw him off, so you'll be too much of a threat for him. So I'm not bringing you out."
Yeah, maybe that was his line to keep people away.
It was true, actually.
Yeah.
All right. I'm actually going to agree with Herman on this. The reality is as a quarterback, man, you just love great wide receivers. I'd throw to any one of these guys. So it's hard to pick one of them, but yeah, I'll go. I'm gonna go with with Donald Driver, just because. That Martin will be happy because he hates the Packers. We all hate the Packers here, so let's do a little hate on the Packers.
But I like Donald. I'm gonna just say that. I got a lot of respect for him, man. He's a tremendous player.
Yeah, no question. All right, O-line.
All right, let's go to the O-line, guys. We got a good one here. Jonathan Ogden, Orlando Pace, Trent Williams, or Willie Anderson.
So I played with Jonathan. I played with Willie. Both of them tremendous players. Jonathan Ogden might be one of the top 2 greatest offensive linemen like ever in the NFL. Like he was. I don't know that his guy even got close enough to where the quarterback could smell the guy's breath. This dude was a mountain, but he was an unbelievable athlete. And all these guys are great athletes. Orlando Pace, very good. Of course, Trent Williams, very good. And even though I played with Willie, I like Willie. He's probably the guy of these 4, I think, that I would probably give the boot. I hate to say that. Sorry, Willie, but you're out, dude.
I'm going to go with what QB1 said, because I'm a wide receiver and I don't pay attention to what linemen are doing. Only thing I know are the linemen that I play with. I'm see, that's the other thing you're going to get with me is honesty. I know the names. I have not watched their careers. Yeah. So anything I would say, you don't even want to take it like a grain of salt, because I wouldn't know which of these guys outpace each other. I know them as people, as players, right, and what they meant to their organizations, but not enough to understand their body of work.
See, if I put these 4 guys up front with Kevin Glover as the center, and you'd never lose.
Hey,
never lose.
Hey, you're trying to get me in trouble here in Detroit.
No, I'm not. Not at all. No,
all right, guys.
I don't know every position.
There's more. You only mentioned Kevin Glover. I mean, I know you want to throw Lomas Brown on this line.
Well, I'd take any one of these guys over Lomas.
I'm gonna have Lomas come in here and talk to you.
No, I would tell me how you're better than these guys.
All right.
He maybe Lomas might be better than Willie. Maybe.
That's big, bro, man.
Yeah. No, Lomas is a great player. All right, we're moving on quickly. Defensive line.
Yeah, let's go D-line here. Reggie White, Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt, or Mean Joe Green. Who's being deleted?
Man, we can't get rid of Mean Joe. That's just he ain't going off the list. I'll just tell you right now. Oh, this is a hard
You're not
one.
going to get rid of the Minister of Defense.
No.
I mean, you can see us. We're kind of, as offensive guys, we're both attacking this one because it's just, this is a tough one right here.
This might be the hardest one you have.
Yeah. You already know, Pitch. It ain't but two guys we can go with. I'm looking at, you got to look at either J.J. Watt or you're looking at Aaron Donald. Well, because we know Mean Joe. Come on.
He's not getting off the list.
He's not getting off the list.
No.
So on this one, man, that's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
I think on this one though, I'm gonna have to go with Aaron Donald. I'm gonna have, not Aaron Donald going off, but JJ's I'm taking off the list, and I'm keeping Aaron Donald.
I agree. All right, defensive back. You're muted, Martin.
Sorry about that. Let's go DBs. Mike Haynes, Champ Bailey, Rod Woodson, or Lester Hayes.
Well, who are you keeping on there first?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, Rod Woodson was he a great defensive back?
For his time, the size. Again, I'm looking at it from a different standpoint. The defensive backs used to be big, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day. And then they started getting smaller because the teams started going with smaller receivers, and they had these bigger guys chasing them. And because of some of these guys like Lester, they had to change the rules, man, because these guys were just maulers. And then you had Rod Woodson, who was a big guy who could run a 4.3 40, and he could chase your smaller guys. But then also he was just a ball hawk, right? And then when you look at Champ Bailey, he was in that more modern era as a player, and dominant, yes. But I think there's others you would match him with and say he didn't rise above them to where he just completely, dwarfed them. Like, okay, this is the cream of the crop. There'd be a lot of debates where these are guys in their time that they were considered the best at what they did. So I think on this one, I'm going to remove Champ.
Yeah, I actually really agree with you on it. And it's interesting. You got Broncos and Raiders, big rivalry there. But yeah, I think Champ Bailey, for same reasons, I'll go there. All right, linebackers.
All right, linebackers.
Are we winning the game, by the way? I just want to know.
Yeah,
are we winning
the game. I like some of these guys that you guys are taking off. I don't disagree with too many of these lists at all.
That's another hard one right here.
Oh, it is. I even give you guys double points for eliminating the Packer guys. I love that one the most. All right, let's make the linebacker one of the best conversation here. Ray Lewis, Mike Singletary, Jack Lambert, or Brian Urlacher. Which one is going away?
Urlacher.
Ooh, quick with
here's listen, man. I'm telling you, listen, I will not get rid of guys who played in eras that we can't understand. And when we want to look at them strictly for newness, we have a tendency to do that. Ray Lewis, there's no doubt. Like, he played with a different energy. He was the modern day Mike Singletary and those type guys, right? Jack Lambert, I mean, come on, man. He's part of the iconic defense for the Steelers, right? And these are guys that they had no quit in them. They had no anything. Brian Urlacher was the same guy. He just happens to be on the outside of it because the others measure up a little bit higher, and it still keeps him at elite level. Like, Brian Urlacher being removed from this list, somebody's got to be removed. So when you remove someone, I'm going to remove the one that has been probably more on the new side. Then I'm going to remove the guys that really, really earned it. Like, I mean, they earned it, and we only know what they show us, right? Unlike today, you get to see all this film, and we get enamored by all these new players because we got so much footage, we got so much content. But the other ones, man, if we were to start to show their body of work, yeah, the film's a little bit slower down and all that. But man, listen, I know getting along with it, but man, I'm telling you, I'm going to give homage and I'm going to give stuff back to the guys, man, that did it prior to set the stage.
The only comment I have about this was John Elway's rookie year playing in Pittsburgh against Jack Lambert, and Elway admittedly said he psyched me out. I was intimidated. I was scared to death. And John Elway, you could watch him play, and of course Lambert, I think, sacked him a couple of times in the game. But that's the type of impact that these players, Ray Lewis, and I played with Ray, like, just it was insane how good he was. Mike Singletary, that 85 Bears team, that they're just their presence is intimidating. You talk about bringing something to the game, and as good as Urlacher was, I agree with Herman. I just don't think that the impact is the same as he has other players. Okay, we do have to include them. We don't want to, but we will. We're going to go over kickers and punters, even though they're not really players.
Yeah,
we'll very quickly. We might eliminate all these guys, but anyways, go ahead. Who are our kickers?
All right, guys, we got a good bunch here. Sebastian Janikowski, Gary Anderson, Morton Anderson, or Martin Gramatica.
Gramatica. Ooh,
right.
I'm going to get rid of Gramatica.
Yeah.
Gramatica.
Sorry, Gramatica.
Yeah, you're out, dude.
I mean,
all right, let's move on to the last group of players that are not much of players at all. Either Ray Guy, Jeff Fiegel, AJ Cole III, or Sean Liker from the punting group.
Before you go, I got something here. You have a coin? If we had a coin, we're gonna do a fictitious flip of a coin.
Yeah.
Only one that gets to stay on this list is Ray Guy.
Right.
All right. So there you go. Boom.
Well, see, that's what I was going to say. Ray Guy stays, the rest of them can go.
So we're going to eliminate 3 on this one.
They just go.
Only so they can all go together, and we don't have to leave any one out. Ray stays. Everyone else.
Yeah. To me, these are just guys.
Yeah,
they're just guys.
Yeah.
All right. Good game, Martin. Love the games. Martin always comes up with these crazy games. We always love to play them. So thank you so much, Martin. Did we get a gold star today? That's all I want to know.
Absolutely. All right. Put it on the middle of the forehead, put it on the fridge, and show it off to everyone else. We all got gold stars, okay?
Did we get 2 because we eliminated so many Packers today? That's what I think. I'll just say, I'll take 1 star today. I'm going to give 2 to Herman because he got rid of Brett Favre. And that's down and dirty, man.
That take the pressure off you?
No, I like, well, kind of.
Like
yeah, I think I would have too.
And then too, man, he threw past and Sterling Sharp, the whole thing that happened with the playoffs. That just,
Yeah, that was bad. And that freaking
and 2, he popped one of my fingers at Pro Bowl too, because we were just doing like a little casual run through, and he didn't understand I was only 5 yards away.
Fired a bullet at you.
So
yeah. All right, 2 gold stars for Herman. I'll take 1 today. And we're going to take a break. We come back. We got NFL news and notes right around the corner when the Down and Dirty returns.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. The luxury and confidence of premium clad stainless steel meets Scratch Defense Extreme Non-Stick that won't scratch, ever. With an ultra-thick aluminum core for high-performance heating. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance of clad stainless steel. Scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
At Matt Piffle, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mappiffle.com and start celebrating your story today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty. Scott and Herman here. So glad you could be a part of our show and join us. And we love your patronage. Like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff. We are in Detroit, Michigan. We're in the world famous Herman Moore Studios, doing the show together. We're doing it together today, and we're going to continue to do it together every day. So, got a lot of really, really exciting things in store that you're going to love to be a part of. Of course, we talk about the NFL every day because it's 365, 24/7. The NFL is always open for business. Something interesting is always happening, and it's stuff that you are interested in. You love, you want to hear, we want to share it. We played it, we lived it, we love it, and we're happy to give you our insight into the NFL. So here are, is, was, and are all of those things. The NFL news of notes. Okay, Aaron Rodgers has given a timeline update with his return or what he's going to do with the Steelers. Of course, they wanted him to give them an update before the NFL draft because it, of course, maybe impacts what's going on. And of course, the draft is a week away, and so it looks like the Steelers are still waiting for an answer from Aaron Rodgers. Is it down and dirty of Aaron Rodgers to kind of hold the Steelers at bay, or does it? Is there a strategy involved? Like, hey, I want to come back, but I don't want to have maybe a replacement. Is it selfish? Is it thoughtless? Wouldn't you want to let your team that you're going back to know so that they can make the best decisions with the draft coming up? What are your thoughts about Aaron Rodgers and his delay tactics or whatever his strategy about deciding if he's going to come back and play?
Well, as much as, I've always told you this, the teams have a decision to make, the players have a decision to make. You only control certain pieces. I'm not waiting if I'm the organization. I'm sitting there going, hey, here's our deadline. And if we're not settled and resolved by then, we have to move on because this is a game, and we've discussed this. This is a young player's game. This is one where you can bring in those quarterbacks. Can he provide the stability? I think they're building the team again, right? They're building certain parts of this roster. So I don't think we have to wait here. We need to go ahead and start making decisions based on the future and the longevity of this team, which we know that we're going to be right back in the same spot, either during this year if he gets injured or at the end of the next year when he may or may not come back. So I'm not even playing those games right now because I need to build for the future. If I were them, if I'm the Steelers organization right now, I'm going ahead and I'm moving on and saying thank you. I appreciate you coming in, and if we get something worked out and something works out later, whatever it happens, but right now we need to move forward.
Yeah, it kind of feels that way. Like, what does it matter? Because he is a short-term solution. I thought he played better than expected a year ago. He certainly has that talent, that experience. He's better than most guys in the NFL today, even with his age. But is it enough to really get you over the line and win a Super Bowl? And I just don't know that the Steelers are that team. Maybe they're more competitive. He's reunited with his old coach. Maybe it invokes some kind of magic from the past. I don't know, but I don't see the Steelers going to the Super Bowl this year with him or even without him. And I don't think it has much of an impact one way or another, actually.
I think actually harms them a little bit more because you bring him in, he gets a rapport with a younger group or a new group of guys. And then if he leaves, now you've disrupted that whole unit versus building it right the first time.
Yeah. Very good point. Okay. Diana Rossini has resigned from The Athletic after photos of her that were published with Mike Vrabel. Everyone's claiming that these things are all innocent, and of course they're innocent, then proven, until proven guilty. I guess my question with this is, what I don't know. I'm not even sure where to go with this, but my question is, should this have an impact on a coach, on a situation? Is it, because clearly she's resigned, so there's something there. I guess the question is how much of having an impact with someone, I guess it's a coworker. Is it a coworker? I don't know. I mean, I look at Bill Belichick, and he's dating a former cheerleader with. Maybe it's just New England that these things happen. And again, we don't know if anything's wrong or right, but certainly feels like there's something amiss if she's going to resign from her position with the Athletic.
Well, so it's professional and it's personal. So where does this lie? If this is an organization piece, if this is something that is part of a contract that they have with an entity or their employer, then you're going to go back to HR and you're going to go through based on your policies, and then you're going to make a decision based on that. If you choose to resign because of the optics or whatever it is that's happening there, you want to kind of get out of it and lessen whatever's happening, then you can make those decisions. But I think this comes down strictly to people making professional decisions on whether to leave. I don't think it should be something that impacts them unless they're forced to make those decisions because it's policy. If it's policy, then those decisions gets made. If it's their personal, they're making personal decisions to do that. But I don't think, in that sense, it's trivial. I don't think this is a trivial piece here.
So if you're, they're like, what if they're in love? Like, what if they found love together? Is it ever a good decision to find love in a professional relationship with someone? Because she works for one company, he works for another one, but the two are related, and clearly they were in a work function doing something together. I think of that CEO, the Coldplay, where he was married to someone else, she was married to someone else, and of course they all lost their job over it. And I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong, those are certainly decisions for companies, but the optics of it, I guess, is there ever a situation where the optics look good, or is this just is always a bad decision?
I think it's just, unless there's a competitive advantage or a business advantage or something that happens that puts another employee that is in a position that they should have, but is given to someone else, and you're doing those type of things, and you're giving this preferred whatever, it's no problem. People find love. People can love or like people in their same profession. They can love and like people that are in the same building. They could be doing custodial work and you could be the CEO. Who cares? That's a personal piece. But if it's written in policy that that's behavior that can't happen, there's a remedy for that. And that remedy usually is spelled out, which means either you resign or you have to let people know ahead of time or whatever it is. It should not become a public piece that then you have to do it because of the optics. Now, I'm gonna make my decision if I'm in that situation based on what does the policy say. And if it's a personal thing, I'm gonna say, you know what, this is a personal situation.
Okay. The Eagles have had discussions about the AJ Brown situation, and basically they're saying he's an Eagle right now. Of course, he's been somewhat disgruntled with his situation there, but there's always the possibility of getting traded. But it feels like that the Eagles are saying, he still is with us as of today, and that's is that the kiss of death though when they come out publicly and say, like, he's an Eagle? Does that mean he's gone?
I think he's gone. I don't think this is a repairable and a situation that could be reconciled, because it's both parties have already spoken. And once you say certain things, you can't pull them back.
Yeah.
And you can come back in. The trust is dissolved. It's gone. And players know in this day and age that where you've already said some things, you've said a lot, and you just only said a few things that have been exposed publicly. And I don't think that these two can reconcile, because I think there's a better fit. I think they should let it go. I don't know. That's the problem. That's the piece that bothers me as a former player and someone who watches this. If someone doesn't want to be there, let them go. Figure out the best way to send them on their way. You don't force people who are in that situation to stay, because all you're doing is saying, I am invoking power and control over you, which is going to lead to dissension. It's going to lead to disruption. And the minute you have a problem, that problem is going to be an explosion, because it never really was quelled. It was never once put to rest.
I think of a player, because I'm wondering, AJ kind of gets frustrated and doesn't necessarily like the system, doesn't necessarily like his fit with his quarterback, whatever. He doesn't. And really all it boils down to is I have a lot of talent. I have a lot to offer to this organization, this situation, and I just don't feel like I'm being utilized to my full potential. I get all of that, and I agree with the whole. It's like, if a guy's not happy where he is, you should move him. And my mind just goes to Charles Haley, where he was with 49ers. And you talk about the 49ers and they go, the dude was crazy, like legit certifiably crazy. He was doing insanely disgusting things that are well documented.
And that he admitted.
Yeah. And because it was kind of his way of going, I don't like it here. I don't feel appreciated. And then, of course, he goes to Dallas Cowboys and they go, we love crazy. Jerry Jones is like, I'm right there with. In fact, we're using the same medication, and in fact, we'll share medication. Like, that's how close I'm bonded to you here. And Charles Haley flourished in that situation. And so, and the 49ers, everyone goes, okay, you traded away Charles Haley, he comes back to bite you. But I think everyone in that situation, regardless of what happened down the road, I think they all felt they made the move. They made the decision that was best for the organization and best for the player. Yeah. So I agree with it. I don't think there's any reason. Okay. Nasir Adderley, who of course played with the Rams, retired after 3 years of retirement. He's actually coming back and he's going to play. I believe it's with the Colts here. I'm not sure exactly. Let me look up what he's he signed with the Colts. And he said, this was a really interesting quote that he said. He said, look, the freedom to manage my own schedule was very important to me. But what I didn't realize was how much I miss having football in my life. Now, I know I love this comment because you're seeing so many of these players that are retiring at a young age. And when you retire, all of a sudden you realize, okay, man, it's over. How was that adjustment for you when you retired? Because, and how long after you retired did you go, I still think I could play, I still wish I could play. I know that I've really missed football since it's been over. Not so much now. I don't know that I miss it now, but for a long time I really missed it. And I just really appreciated this statement about how much you miss the game when you retire.
I retired out of frustration and disappointment. It wasn't so much because I'd given up the previous 5 years being reserved and reduced to a role that I didn't think that was necessarily fair or fitting when I was in the prime of my career, and then when you get other suitors calling and asking, hey, you're not using this certain player that has this certain ceiling, and your team, goes, we're not going to let him go, but we're not going to use him either, then that freedom that you talk about, it becomes something that becomes necessary, becomes to keep your sanity. Because if you're not about just the money and you're about the finish of your career and you're there about the finish of a purpose in life, there's not money that fulfills that and fills that. Right. It is the actual being able to say, listen, I need to be utilized. I need to make sure that we're on the same page. And that's somewhat what we talk about with AJ Brown. Like, it's not about the money at those points. And these guys right now, they're making the money. And even then it was about, okay, we have enough to survive, but at the same time, I want to finish this journey. And so, I think it's important, when I left because I just couldn't do it anymore mentally. I was literally feeling like I was going to lose my mind because it was so much control and ego that was involved that it wasn't about football anymore. And I think when you look at it in that context, it made it easy for me to leave. And the only way I was going to come back is I had to come back under conditions and terms that were fitting for me. And if those didn't exist, which they didn't, then I'm good. I move on. But not all players can do that, because there's something, if you're left unfulfilled, I just think they struggle with that. And then depending on the support systems you have around you, some teams will be very supportive of players when they leave, so it makes the transition a little bit easier. And then there's others, as you've seen, it's about that power, that control, that attitude, that ego. And they don't have to like that, but that is what exists there. And I don't think you can go across the NFL, and if you were to poll players and say, what are the things that you hate most about organizations, I guarantee you're going to find a consistency around the thing. That is the actual mentality in the or. And organizations don't want to hear that, but it is what it is. And unless you address it, and sometimes they tiptoe on it and try and figure out a way to to make it, hey, nothing to see here, but it's not. You can throw all the new marketing and all the other stuff around it all you want, but this is a business first. And it is basically Coliseum. Put the people out, let the gladiators go, keep the people happy, keep them distracted, keep telling them that this is, but it means absolutely nothing. Think about it. What is a fan getting out of it? I hate to be that one in the sport. What do you truly get out of it other than entertainment?
Yeah.
It's Coliseum. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, and I think, it's an interesting journey as a professional athlete and as an athlete, where you do it, you get involved in it for a certain reason. You love it. It's compelling. It's fun. There's excitement, and you think of it as, I thought of it as life and death. And then when I realized, hang on just a sec, this is just, we're in the entertainment business. This is the entertainment business, and so be entertaining. And man, I was taking it so freaking serious all the time. But what I learned about my personality, and I really didn't learn this until I was long retired, but I saw it come out as I played, and even when I was a kid, and I was starting in sports. And one of the things about my personality, and it's just my personality, it's not necessarily sports, but it applied when I played sports, was that I'm a person that likes to figure things out. I'm a problem solver. Like, I enjoy that, whatever the problem is, whether it's in a game or a puzzle or trying to fix a motor or trying to, the problem. And for me, like when I was young, it was like, well, I was a baseball pitcher and I was really inaccurate. I was hitting kids right and left, and so I'm like, well, I got to figure out how to not hit these kids. Right. So to me, it was solving the problem. And the same thing, like when we were with the Detroit Lions, it's like the problem was, okay, how do we win a Super Bowl? Right. And so in my mind, I'm consumed with, how can we win a Super Bowl? Like, I'm trying to fix that problem.
Right.
And when I left the Lions, we didn't win the Super Bowl. Like it almost makes my brain short circuit, because I'm like, no, I was like, I'm trying to figure this. And so when I retired with the frustration or the problem of trying to solve the problem of winning the Super Bowl. And I didn't realize a lot of this about my personality. It's a big part of my personality. And I've always felt like I'm a person, because that I've solved a lot of the problems. Like, I've figured out, how to do certain things. And I really go back to that. I really felt like I had the solution to win the Super Bowl. I just needed more time to do it. And so when other people take that away from you, that to me was really, really hard to swallow, because like, I'm not the problem. Like, I'm part of the solution here. And it was the biggest challenge for me. And so it wasn't so much, my career is unfulfilled. It wasn't so much, like it was just a personal thing about my personality. Like, I just wanted to solve a problem, and I wasn't able to. And so but it was hard too, because I just loved playing football. I really did. And when it was over, man, it was really hard. And I get this comment, it really hit me today, where I was like, I get it. I understand how challenging it is when you move on with your life. But the biggest thing that I found, there was a lot of other problems that I could fix in other areas of my life, and I was ultimately able to move on. But it took me a long time before I ever got where I was like, okay, I can finally sleep at night and not be haunted by the demons of playing in the NFL. And because I just felt like I was going to play forever, and I played 12 years. I mean, it wasn't short, but I felt it could have been a lot longer. Okay. Shedeur Sanders, his new head coach, Monken, of course, with the Cleveland Browns, has really hyped up Shedeur's playmaking ability. I don't know how much we've talked about Shedeur.
Not much.
He's a fascinating, just study. And so much of it is, of course, tied to his dad and his, I guess, fall in the draft. And was it really, did they miss on this one? Was there personal reasons why he was there? And to me, what's so fascinating about it is, one, we're having a conversation about it. I mean, he's a 5th round draft choice. Is it really a conversation? But the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation is one of the most compelling stories, I think, going into this season, because you have this polarizing figure in Shedeur Sanders. You have Deshaun Watson, who is, it's not like he's there and he's out the door. It's like, no, this Deshaun Watson is going to battle to be the starting quarterback.
Man, every time I hear his name, and I no disrespect, I always go, since he was drafted, did he ever play?
Yeah, a little bit.
For 200 and something million, I'm like, this has been the most underreported, talked about scenario that I of a player that's in the league with no statistics or presence. And it's not a knock. It's cool. I mean, I'm like, where was that? I need that career. I want that career. And
let me ask you this about that, okay? I mean, to be completely candid with me, all right? I want you to get down and dirty right here, right now.
Well, you already know.
I want to know if they gave you $230 million and they just handed it all to you in one day.
Mm-hmm.
It's all fully guaranteed. Here you go. How motivated are you really to play football?
I'm actually really motivated, and here's why.
Okay.
Because I'm and you're talking about me. Like I can't speak about someone else's demeanor and what their character is. I'm gonna play because I'm like, wow, they're paying me this type of money, and I got to make sure they get a return on that investment. It is the same flip mentality for me. If I'm going to play hard, I expect you to pay me at the end of that. Even if you weren't paying me now, but I'm producing all-star results, I want you to pay me later for that and not feel bad that you're saying I can't pay you because you're beyond X, a prime, or you're not producing. Well, what about those years you underpaid me? And that's the balance. I think some of that money should be given back if you're not, because that's going to speak to you as a player. I mean, at some point you got to go, listen, am I just going to sit here? And most people are going to sit here, and and that's why I would never get mad about a comment. A person go, man, what are you talking about? Who's going to give back that kind of money? You only give them the money. That's the Brown. That's their fault. They're stupid to do it. No, I'm sitting there going, listen, there's a piece where you go, I deserve that money. A contract's a contract. I get it. But then there's also, depending on who you are, you're going to have a certain visceral reaction or a certain type of reaction to me saying, get that money back. Or do something, figure out something. Like, you shouldn't just be sitting there chilling.
So what happens if Deshaun Watson comes back and plays, like they go to the playoffs, he's playing at a Pro Bowl level, and his contract's up. He's in a contract year.
Yeah.
Like, and mind you, like, if
he wouldn't get the same contract, no one would take that same chance. They would look at that as a 1-year wonder until he puts together a string multiple of successful years. And I don't mean just 2 years. I mean, he would literally need to be able to do that from now to the rest of his NFL playing day career. And teams are going to make sure those contracts, they're going to bring in, they may even hire legal outside of their system to come in to make sure that contract is ironclad, because teams are not afraid to ask for money back these days.
So if he they aren't. But if he proves to be a really good player, plays the whole year healthy, they get in the playoffs, and he's in a contract year, what do you do at that point?
I don't see it.
But they got.
I see you. I know you're going hypothetical. Yeah, they're going. I know what you're saying, but I just don't see.
And there's desperate teams out there for a quarterback.
Not that desperate.
Someone was. They paid him $230 million.
Yeah, but that was beforehand. Someone signed a contract. I want to find out I want to see if there was any money transferred from him to those people, and if they're still with the organization.
So, yeah, they're all gone, I'm sure. But he's, that, like, the going rate for a starting quarterback in a veteran quarterback is in the $50 million range.
But they're not going to give it to him.
Well, someone will.
No, they won't.
Someone will give him.
Yeah, we'll take that. We'll place a wager on that one, and we'll see if we can get sponsors on that as well, because I just don't see anyone taking that type of risk. Once you have a certain perception of those, we know that this is a league that carries grudges and carries over what they think about people, whether they know it to be true or not. They will say, because that trusted source over here says so, or we think so. We know how the inner working a conversation happens. The organizations will work that, and no.
So speaking of grudges, former great players. I'm not talking about former players because a lot of former players have been successful, won Super Bowls as coaches, but the great players. I'm really talking about Deion Sanders here. Do great players make great coaches, and maybe college coaches, NFL coaches, or is there just an inability to be a great coach? Because the verdict's still out on Deion Sanders at Colorado. Been there a while. He certainly created interest, but has he really created results? We'll talk about that when the Down and Dirty returns.
You probably get unwanted emails almost every single day.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
Have you ever wondered why so many pet parents are choosing to have virtual vet appointments? Online veterinary care is making it easier than ever to get expert advice for your pet. Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns and expand access to pet care. Book your first appointment today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty here with Scott and Herman. So glad you could join us. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Fun show today, man. We got gold stars. We bounced Packers from existence in the NFL. That's what we do on this show, and we're going to continue to do it. I saw this article recently, of course, about Coach Prime at Colorado. Fascinating, of course. He's a part of where I live in the country. Utah is in Colorado's conference in the Big 12. They were in the Pac-12. It's been a fascinating experience with Deion as head coach. He's brought crazy interest to Colorado. I mean, some of the most popular games viewing-wise in all of college football have been Colorado, Colorado State, Colorado, Nebraska in recent years. And you go, huh? Like, what for, right? And it's all about Coach Prime. You know, he has this persona. He's one of the most uniquely well-branded individuals in the world, you know, with his blender glasses and his look and his cowboy hat and all that stuff. And and it was funny, we talked about changing uniforms and kind of the look, and Deion was all about that. And when he first got to Colorado, he went around the whole facility and he just said, this has got to go. and he rebranded the whole thing really personally. And he's made Colorado relevant from an image perspective, but the success on the field has not followed. And I love a lot of what the things that he said there, at least publicly. A lot of his stuff, you know, you can see on social media, and just, you know, his whole philosophy about life and coaching and the players I like, but it hasn't created the results. And he's had opportunities. You know, he transfer portaled his whole entire roster. He got a lot of players. He had a guy win a Heisman Trophy there, a couple years ago, and Travis Hunter. But the on-field success is not followed. Is it possible for a great player? I'm not talking about a former player. I'm talking about, I mean, Deion's one of the greatest of all time. Can a great of all times have the success and be a successful head football coach in college football, in the pros? And I'm asking my resident expert here, Herman Moore, man, he torched Deion. It was like Deion was like, man, he's like nothing. Can Coach Prime win?
I think he can win, but it's more than that. I think what people are starting to understand and learn is that coaching is communication. Coaching is how do you become a motivator and someone who can also manage. So it is a true job. Coaching used to be looked at as just, you got a coaching position. It's a coaching job. And with that comes what we call, KPIs. You have to be able to perform. You need to be able to have a lift. Your presence, your participation, your leadership leads to a certain type of a result. And when you look at coaches, it used to be about what you knew. And all you had to know is, can you implement a certain playbook? Can you attract certain players? Can you do so? Now it's become a little bit more integrated. The integration now is, can you now get these certain results that I'm talking about? Can you communicate? Can you keep your locker room? Can you bring in the right, coaches and support staff? Basically, can you run this business of college football, or amateur sports, or professional sports? And then can you manage all the dynamic things that are happening around you? So are you a good organizer? Are you a good planner? Are you also, are you good at conflict resolution and understanding evaluation of talent, people, players, support? You're actually the CEO of the team. You're leading from the top, and you have the voice over everything that happens on that field. So, and also all the support pieces, which is the organization, your marketing team, the equipment people, your vendors. You're managing all of that to say, how do we turn that into success? And I don't think they come out of the gate equipped for that. I think there's components that they have. Does he have the attraction through marketability? Yes. Does he have the motivational piece? Yes. He was a person who worked with a lot of these younger kids, even when he left professional sports and started working with development of athletes. So that gave him the edge of understanding the communication skills that were needed to be successful, and what would make the top talent say, I want to come play for you, but understand his vernacular, which means he could speak not like the traditional coaches they may be coming from spoke, but understand his language and how to apply that without offense. So that's what I saw with him. And that doesn't necessarily mean you win games.
Right.
That's it. I mean, it's like, he brings a piece, but he doesn't bring the whole pie there, because you need those extra people to help round you out.
So is it fair to say it's almost like when you're Coach Prime, it's like you kind of feel like maybe you're bigger than everything else that's there. It's kind of, you become the story, you become the focal point, and really the focal point, it is on you. I mean, you think of like a guy like Andy Reid, who's a former player, but not a great player, but has been a phenomenal head football coach, or a guy like Sean Payton, who played quarterback in college and has been a phenomenal head coach. But even though they have a presence, they aren't the presence. And like, being a great player, man, it's all about you. Like people praise you, they dote over you, they have a different respect for you. And is it something that maybe you don't even realize it, because you're just so used to always being the guy that you don't know what it's like to not be the guy per se, because I think of someone like Doug Peterson, who was, he's a good friend of mine, but he's also a former player, and yet he wasn't a great player. And so I think when you don't have, you had to work for it, you were kind of a scrapper, you were kind of, you were a backup, a lot of your viewing of a game was from the sideline. It was from, but it was, and so I think it's hard to get out of being the guy, and like I just, I think, like Barry Sanders here in Detroit, like Barry was just, they have statues of Barry. They, how do you get out of everyone adoring and loving you to where you're not necessarily the most important focal point of the team now? And is that a deterrent, I guess, really?
It's not. So I look at it this way. We can bring in all types of analogies when we talk about Coach Prime. I see it like this. They said, hey, here's a vehicle, which is our team, our athletic football program. We're going to give you the keys. He gets to decorate. He wants to put rims on those cars. He wants to put tint in the windows. He wants to do whatever. It's still a car. It's still the same thing. How he dresses it, how he puts it out there, so that I want to make sure that, it has a certain color. If I want it to blend and be basic, then I'm going to paint it a certain color. If I want it to really shine and do all these things, I'm going to lay it out and put all these type of bells and whistles on it to make sure you draw the attention. At the end, the horsepower becomes what's under the engine. Now he's putting all those pieces together. So he's got to be the architect of that program. So he's going to be the one who takes the wins and losses responsibility. And when someone's saying, here are the keys and here's the budget to get it done, then it falls back on that player. It doesn't matter if he's Deion Sanders, Hall of Famer, former, superstar athlete in the NFL and all those things. It's now, who are you now? So the scrutiny that you're going to get with that comes with that territory. And I think it's normalized them to say, you now have to earn your way in this other space, where the most lay person, or the person who's willing to go in and put in the time, attention, detail, travel the country, recruit right, do all these other things that are solid. They're going to do that, and now normalize him or make him now be beneath them in terms of accomplishments, because it's not about who you are, the personality. And that could be smoke and mirror, that could be cloak and dagger, that could be recruiting, that could be whatever. But it comes down to, when you look at the wins and loss columns, that's how he's going to still either be Coach Prime, he's going to be Coach Prime winner and championship coach, or Coach Prime, a guy that, brings in talent, they don't kind of make it, and whatever happens there, right? And volatility or whatever the case may be. So I don't think this is a huge discussion or topic that has a lot of controversy, turmoil, what can happen. Who's willing to win and who's got the right system to do it, and motivation and access.
So I think one of the things that that prohibits is there's this perception for people who've had to work their way up through the ranks, and a guy, because I was looking, I was like, how many great players? I'm talking about great players. I'm not talking about former players. I'm talking about great players have gone on and been successful head football coaches, and there's not even a list. I mean, the best one I think is Jim Harbaugh. But you wouldn't look at Jim Harbaugh in his NFL career and go, well, he was an all-time great. He wasn't. He was a very good, serviceable player, played a long time, had some success in certain places. And when he started, he was coaching at the University of San Diego, and then he went to Stanford and 49ers, and he had success. He had a lot of success, but I think the perception is, you walk in the door as a great player and you automatically have respect, right? Mm-hmm. People go, because one of the questions I want to ask you, would you want your son to go play for someone like Deion just because he was a great player?
No.
But I think Deion thinks that.
Right.
And he's brought other great players, like you got Warren Sapp, he has Marshall Faulk, who we talked about earlier, on his staff. I think Warren might have stepped down, but the whole idea was, we're going to surround ourselves with these great players and this great mindset, and that's what's going to ultimately win for us, and it hasn't.
Well, it can't, because that's not a sustainable attribute. Just because you bring in people, you still have to be good at developing talent. You have to be able to have talent that is developed, and then they transfer that over into the game, and they actually are utilizing it in that capacity. We also talked about the reason why I think, and this is my personal opinion, this is why I think there hasn't been, we're scratching our heads, we're trying to figure out, like, who's had that type of success? Who are the superstar players that have really transitioned over into that space of coaching and had this phenomenal success? Well, it's not there because the access to become head coaches hasn't been there until as of late. And even now it's still very far and few, right? And because of that, you have those that have had to work from the high school, collegiate, or whatever levels, or just be assigned a position through association of another coach. Those are the ones who get far more opportunities to win. Now we're starting to see more players get on rosters in the position coach piece that then are now leading to head coaching jobs. But again, it's been those guys who have been journeymen who got on rosters with teams to become position coaches, but they weren't necessarily the superstars.
So I asked Doug Peterson, I said, so when you became the head coach, what happened? He says, my phone blew up. And he goes, I bet I had 400 people call me wanting to coach. Like, and he goes, I literally had to just handle, I couldn't even just deal with all these people. That's it. Just handle it, just deal with it. I can't, he goes, man, it was everybody. And he goes, it's so hard, to find the right guys, that can amplify your message, or great teachers, communicators. And he goes, that is it right there, is a staff that's good and loyal, but not loyal to a fault, loyal to producing excellent results, and he goes, that is where everything is. And he goes, and you can get too many coaches, you can get too many of the wrong coaches, and it's not a good situation. We were looking at this list, and and we all said, well, Ditka, right? He's a Hall of Famer, a great tight end, but even Ditka, he had Buddy Ryan, and you think about when they won the Super Bowl, like they carried Buddy off as much as they did, so how good really was he?
They talked a lot about the Buddy's influence on that.
Yeah,
correct.
Very interesting list of people, and nothing that really goes. Yeah, I think it's impossible. I think it's impossible to be a great player and be a really successful head football. I
don't understand.
I just
drives you there,
for all of those things you said, I think you have a blind spot. I think you have a blind spot when you it's a different world that you operate in as a superstar, and the way that you're, and it's no one's fault. I'm not blaming anyone. I just think that you're treated differently to a point where to you that's just normal. Like the star treatment, the way that you're perceived with people around you. I think it's really hard. And I don't know that many great athletes that go, I even want to coach. I just don't see the mindset of, one of the things. So like Dan Marino, who was phenomenal. Like, I'm just telling you, it was one of the great treasures of my career to be a teammate and watch how good he really was. Unbelievably good. And to see it every day. And he goes, man, if I was coaching, this is, he always talked about if he was coaching, but it got down to, it's like, I don't want to coach, man. I want to be me. And but he always talked about, like, if he was, and he had an opportunity actually to get into the front office and do, and you've seen guys like John Elway. I mean, there've been great players who have gone into the front office, Ozzie Newsome, Elway, being the actual coach on the field. I think it's a down and dirty business. I don't think great players want to do it.
I disagree. I think that I think they're great players who want to do it, but we would want to just do it differently. Like, I would want to shorten practice times. I want to cut out some of the things that we know is just a bunch of wasted time and energy that could be used in other places. There's an evolution that wants to happen, but then the traditionalists that have been coaches that will question that and push back against it, who has the influence of the organization, say this person is going to ruin you and destroy your organization because they're not doing it the right way. Well, what's the right way? The right way is in their line, in their way. I think if you look at how long it's taking these new coaches to get to the Super Bowl, and granted that the talent levels are shifting all the time from team to team to team. So one team that wasn't great next year could win a Super Bowl. I mean, it's literally that way in the NFL, right? But they are all having this. You've seen them break away from these other systems and traditions that were in place, and all of a sudden they started doing these different things. And yeah, you mentioned it earlier, it's a copycat place, right? But some of them are going, hey, I want to be the leader, the innovator. And teams aren't going, you can't. They're going, okay, go ahead, show us what we don't know. And because the ownership mindset has changed slightly to accept that, because the proof is in the pudding, the success has shown its head, that it can happen away from these traditional that's why I think a lot of those other long-standing coaches that have had kind of a hold on the coaching carousel no longer have that hold anymore, because the new wave is coming in and they don't even want those guys unless they're just there as advisors, right? They're pushing them to the side. So now we see it starting to open up to a different diverse group of coaching and coaching styles that are now acceptable to organizations to let it kind of run its course. And that's why I think they could happen. But the coaches coming in now have to be a little bit more well-rounded, but they also are able to bring in a different type of support. I wouldn't be surprised if you get a coach that brings in a hype person. They just need a hype person to get them ready for the game. I don't know.
Well, they have the get back coach. They have the cone coach. They have the hype coach.
If I were a coach, that'll be another segment that we'll have. Like, if you were a coach, look at the coaching positions that are currently there. Which ones are basically obsolete that you would get rid of? Which ones would you keep, and which ones would you now bring in that changes? Because the league has changed. We talked about technology. We've talked about all this other stuff, the mentality of the players, the way they game, the shortness of the fact that players are staying a certain amount. It's changed. So you can't keep the traditionalists in play if everything else is changing, and expect to compete in modern day football or sports.
So if the NFL if Deion Sanders actually does have success, you'll see a million former great players now coaching, because for those very things you're talking about, stealing ideas and just copycat and all that. All right, we're gonna take a break. I'm actually gonna call an audible here. And we were going to have a discussion about the NBA play-in games. We're not going to do that, okay? But what we are going to do is I want to get more inside of Herman's head. So to finish the show, we're gonna open up the brain of Herman over there and get inside of what makes him tick when the Down and Dirty returns.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler. How much time really do we have?
Probably
we
like
went
3
long.
or 4 minutes. We're already, the
Yeah,
recording says an hour 56 if we were hitting 2,
Okay,
but
so
I mean, you
we'll-
can go over a little bit if you want to.
We can be
Yeah.
quick.
We'll be quick.
2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes.
3 or 4. We're good. All right, here we go. Hey, welcome back. Down and Dirty. Scott and Herman here. So glad you could be a part of our show today. Of course, we're going to get inside of Herman's head because let's face it, the playing games in the NBA are kind of whatever. It's just try to keep things competitive, but those teams aren't going to win championships. Why talk about them? One team won, one team lost. LaMelo Ball could have been called for a foul, but he wasn't. And so his team won. That's it. That's the cover. That's the roundup. Now, I just want to get inside of Herman's head. Now, things there have been some crazy things in the memorabilia space. You know, some of these cards, you know, going for millions of dollars, and you know, these one of one type of things. You're in this space. Yeah. It's fascinating. I'm curious your take on where the trading card and memorabilia space is in sports.
Well, you know, I've been in this space. People don't realize from my playing days. So I started collecting my own cards. I don't know. Do you collect your own cards?
Well, they kind of made me collect them. My brother-in-law did. He was going to put his kids through college collecting. Like he has 3,000 of my rookie cards.
Okay, wow, 3,000.
So 3,000, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're worth. I think they're worth $30 or something. Like
each?
He actually had them looked up or something. Yeah, he
got like 9. Okay.
Yeah, he said he has a small fortune. There weren't that many. Like my rookie card is actually. It's a very rare thing. I think he has them all, quite frankly.
I got to make sure I get some signed. Yeah. So I'll make sure we'll swap out.
Of course we will.
And we'll show how we can increase each other's value.
Yeah.
But so I've been in this space since my playing days back in the 90s. And then during that time, it was, for those of you who are collectors, you understand that was called the junk wax era, and people were overproducing. The companies were just pushing out cards, you know, one of 50,000 or whatever it may be, right? And all of a sudden, it was only a handful of players or certain players, even if you were iconic players like Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders and Joe Montana, it didn't matter. The value of those cards weren't quite there. Fast forward, it started to produce less, and it started to put more serial numbers, started to get these parallels in these color matches and all these other different things that were happening with the cards. And now when you look at it, it's exploded. During COVID, the whole industry got turned upside down. And in there's still the nostalgic people who want to go back to the cardboard and the junk wax era in the 90s. But then you look back at the 80s, the 70s and all that, and you start looking more at, you know, some football, but mainly baseball and some of the other sports, right? Fast forward now, it's about the image, the card, you know, is it a one of one? Is it a one of one of three or whatever? And then does it have a certain type of inscription? Does it have, and all these other things that impact the market? So I started looking at that and got into this, and it's become a fascinating piece, because what I see is the card companies are making billions and billions of dollars on that. And I still work with them, and they're mass producing it again. And they're doing these things with stickers and all this. But it's actually the athletes who are driving the market that the fans are buying, right? So you almost turn it and look at the NFL or the professional sports side. And so I started to break out of it as a player and say, okay, how do I now participate on the other side and create? Because I have the memorabilia. I have the unique one-of-ones. Why would I create a one-of-one for you that you're going to give me a small percentage for, that I can just produce my own one-of-ones, get those certified and all those things, and then put those into the marketplace? So that's a real interesting piece that I'm looking at in this space. And I'm trying to get with athletes now and say, listen, if you have those relics, if you have those unique small pieces, keep those and turn those into your own fortunes that you can give direct to consumer. Right now, it's no longer you need to go to the brick and mortar. You need to go to a third party and an auction site. You can create your own component. That's the business side. Remember I tell you about the evolution of the athlete? There's the evolution that happens in everything. That's what happens in my head. It's like, I don't sit here and go, okay, I'm just going to accept today's things the way that they are. Look at media. We're doing things different. We're doing these different segments in these shows. You can't get away with doing some things you did 5 years ago. You have to continuously innovate and evolve. Same thing has to happen in terms of how we manage our NIL. So that's what you're getting from me.
And by the way, that is in Herman's head, and he's shown me some of these pieces. They're unbelievable. Like, I want them. It's very cool. We're actually going to roll some of these out in the future. It's something you're really going to want to see, and I think you're going to want. So I know I do. I actually want I want a piece of Herman Moore is what I want, and I'm gonna get it. Anyways, I as you're talking about this, I think of 1992. I'm playing for the Miami Dolphins in QVC is it's in Sarasota, Florida, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm playing, and they go, hey, we'll pay you $20,000 to come over and be on QVC for 2 hours. And we're
going to get money back then too.
No, it was, and fly me on a private jet. So I flew from Fort Lauderdale over to Sarasota. I thought I was a big deal. Show up at QVC. I'm on QVC for 2 hours. I think I'm on from 10 to midnight, right? It was on my day off. Like, I can't even believe I did it during the season. And I'm hawking Shaquille O'Neal rookie cards, right? And that's what they were selling.
Oh.
And I go, and he was a rookie. Like I go, hey, this guy's going to be good. Like Shaquille O'Neal is going to be a player. You want to get these cards, you know? And so I felt smart because I said, you know, like how hard was
Live
it?
selling, man.
And I was watching the ticker. It's like, it was insane the amount of money. Like giving me $20,000 to come over there was a drop in the bucket for what they sold on this stage. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my experience with trading cards. We'll do that on our show. We'll actually, we'll sell sports memorabilia and you can get it. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Really a lot of fun. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's the beginning of what we're going to do here. We're so excited about it. Can't wait to have you be a part of it. You'll want to stick around. So have a great day. Thank you for being a part of the Down and Dirty. Thanks, Zach, for all you do. And Martin, I'm Scott. He's Herman. This has been the Down and Dirty. Until then, we'll see you then.